like Landon and I always joke with the podcast, like a lot of people's answer when they explain Wichita in one word, they say home. And I'm like, exactly. Like that's my one word answer. It's just home.
Welcome everyone to the Wichita Life Podcast. My name is Landon, and today's episode is going to look a little bit different. My wife Candace and I sat down with DJ Tightpants, and he interviewed us. This was originally for the Native Noise ICT Podcast on iHeart Radio. We talk about why we started Wichita Life ICT in the first place and what we love about Wichita. I hope you all enjoy our story.
Have you tried your coffee yet?
I have.
How is it?
Delicious. Where is Allegro Coffee?
Whole Foods, but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they're serving Reverie.
Mm-hmm.
My plan is to sell out, and I just want to be sponsored and paid via coffee. People will send me coffee,
gig.
and then I'll like drink
It's
coffee and share it
amazing.
with my guests, and then talk about what coffee we're drinking. I
like
did not
it.
get paid by Whole Foods. I just went and picked up Whole
Not
Foods.
yet.
Yeah.
But
Not
it's
yet.
a start. I got this cold brew. There's no ice in it, which is it's a little weird.
I was wondering that.
But she gave me a card to go check out, so I went, checked out, came back, and then she's like, did you want ice in it or anything? I was like, oh, no, that's fine, which, I mean, I got double the coffee because there's no ice in it.
Right. Yeah. That was actually my first job, was a barista when I was
Really?
16. Yep. In Andover at Scooters, and it had just opened up. And so that's funny that just the stories of, that I have of people coming in and being like, oh, this is what I wanted, or that's what I wanted. And, but I would have known what to give you with a nice coffee, for sure.
And I know there's people who are like, can I get a double shot espresso soy
Unicorn latte.
minus the half calf and all that random stuff, but like, come on.
Yeah.
Cold brew.
More
Anyways.
intense was the people that wanted really dry cappuccinos.
Oh, yeah.
They are serious about their foam.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's how Claire's like that. She doesn't like them dry, but most places, like if we go to like craft coffee shops, they always make them dry, and she's like, this is tiny and there's no coffee in here.
Yeah.
Anyways, she's like, I just want it like Starbucks.
They do it right every time.
But also not sponsoring this episode either. So moving on from coffee, my name's Tightpants, and welcome to the Native Noise Podcast.
Music, culture, people, from the heartland to the world. Native Noise, the podcast. Because the world totally needs another podcast.
Today, I'm hanging out and drinking some coffee with Landon and Candace Huslig, and you guys are the two people? Is there only two people?
There's just us, yeah.
Yeah.
Behind Wichita Life Instagram account, website, podcast.
Kind of everything, primarily Instagram, and that's how it started. But yeah, a little bit of everything.
And so Instagram came first. How did you kind of like expand to, what were your thoughts behind we need to take this to other platforms?
Well, we're still kind of in the process of expanding to Facebook and Twitter and some of those. Right now, I kind of just pushed the Instagram post to those, which we started with initially, just how visual and beautiful a platform it is. I mean, a lot of people use Instagram, so it's just easy to push those photographer pictures and everything else to the other ones. And then as far as the podcast, I just wanted to meet some people around town and just share a conversation really in kind of a longer form than a little comment or anything like that, and share their stories with the city.
So how did you start the Instagram besides just like, I mean, it's easy to start an Instagram account, but like what was the inspiration and kind of the original idea in starting the Wichita Life?
Taking a step back from that, we got married in 2015, and then pretty quick into 2016, we moved away. So we both grew up around Wichita, but we moved down to Corpus Christi, Texas for about 9 months. And being gone, we just kind of realized what we were missing in Wichita, and we missed the people, the places. There's a lot of cool stuff to do around here, even though a lot of people bag on it. And I think once we stepped away from it, we realized what that cool stuff was. So we came back, and then sometime in 2016, I think it was around May, I just started the account and started sharing some of the cool places around town. I think a big part of it was just the kind of revival and pride in Wichita the last few years. Again, a lot of people bag on Wichita, but there is a kind of a pride coming back. Like, I don't remember really seeing the Wichita flag a whole lot growing up, and then the last 10 years or so, it's kind of exploded. So I think it was just us kind of sharing the pride we have in Wichita and all of the talented people here.
So have you had like a perspective shift from when you lived in Wichita before to moving away and now that you're back?
I think we're in the boat that we never disliked Wichita. Like some people are just, they cannot wait to get out. I think we were just excited for the opportunity to live somewhere else and just to experience it, since we both did live here most of our lives. And we were actually not expecting to come back as soon as we did. I was part of a rotational program with my job. And so we were moving down to Corpus for 9 months and then supposed to be going to Minnesota for 9 months. And then after that, it was kind of up in the air where we would end up and when. So we were fully expecting to kind of bounce around. And then we had the opportunity kind of last minute to move back to Wichita. And I think we both just realized we don't want to wait 5 or 10 years to come back. We can come back now and kind of be part of, just be excited to be back in Wichita and make the best of it.
Yeah, and I think being raised here and growing up here, we both went to high school at Andover Central and college at Wichita State. I think being here, we just got like an eagerness to like want to live somewhere else and just experience that. And then Corpus Christi was great, but the different pace of life and our community of people aren't there, and just definitely different. And no offense to Texas, I just don't think I would ever want to live there full time. And so just getting the opportunity to come back was a huge blessing, and knowing like, hey, we're going to be surrounded by our people. And so then just coming back and just seeing this like swell of pride of Wichita that I feel like was there before we left, but definitely had grown more like now that we were back. And so, yeah, it was definitely great to be back in our norm and with our people. So
that's pretty similar to what happened with my wife and I, timing wise too. I moved out to St. Louis May of 2016. She moved out there January 2017 when we got married, and then we're back in Wichita as of November 2017. We've been back a little over a year, but moving out to St. Louis, we definitely thought we were going to be there longer. Like she wasn't even there a full year. I was there about a year and a half. But I was working nights, so I'd work till about like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And it's not the most ideal situation for your first year of marriage. Everything was fine. It's just we just didn't have a lot of time to see each other or hang out. I'd be getting off work and she'd be going to bed, and then we'd get a couple hours in the morning, but then it was kind of repeat that. So I had kind of been looking for some other jobs where I could get on a normal schedule. I hadn't looked into anything seriously. But right around that time I was looking, we got the opportunity to come back to Wichita. And I mean, we'd actually talked about coming back to Wichita, but we didn't think it'd be we thought it'd be way down the road. So at first we're like, do we want to do this? But it seemed like the right move. And like you said, there was stuff we were missing, or now we had this like outside perspective. It seemed like all this cool stuff was happening. So it seemed like a really cool time to come back. And it was an easy move, easy decision coming back to like friends and family.
Right.
Definitely.
And I remember like as we're getting ready to move back, I'm trying to get reconnected and reassociated with the community. And Wichita Life was one of the accounts that I found on Instagram that I was like, man, look at all this cool stuff happening. There's a lot going on and it's awesome. And I know, Landon, you kind of started this platform originally like by yourself, and I think I saw something about Candace, you not even knowing that Landon had created the account and was running it. So can you explain that whole situation?
Definitely. So it's fun when people say like, well, what was your thought process behind starting the account? I really can't attest to that or speak into that as much because it was totally Landon. He just kind of started it and almost was a creative outlet for you as well. Yep. And I think we were at like 3,000 followers or 4,000 followers, I'm not sure. And I just saw him reposting a picture. I'm like, wait, what is that? And he's like, well, I was going to grow it more. And we kind of joke about that now. And so just kind of built it up into what it is. And it was really just you running it for a while. And then finally you're like, hey, I want your help in this. I want you to join in. And I think it'd be a really cool opportunity. And I loved like the thought behind it, just a platform to share stories in Wichita and just stories of people that are doing awesome things. Like we look at those pictures and we're just blown away when people send them to us because they're just incredible. Like we got sent one not too long ago of like a night, like Wichita at night. And it was like a long shot or still shot or whatever those are called. And so it was kind of blurred. It was amazing. And so just to get to share those and people being excited about that.
Did you like know about the account before you found out he was doing it? Like,
No,
okay.
not at all.
That would have been really funny if you were like already
She was
That would have been
sitting right next to me, like, check out this
Yeah.
account.
that.
Retweet.
No, I didn't have any idea. And it's funny because Landon's not like, he has his own Instagram, but he like never used it. So
Probably like 10 posts in 5 years or
like
something.
he never posted on it, and except for like birthdays or anniversaries or whatever. And so to see this page that he had started, I'm like, what? So it was really fun.
And how quickly did the account start to like take off and grow?
I'd say the first year, so I started in May, we probably got to, it was probably 4,000 or 5,000 that first year, and then crossed over about 10 or 11 in 2018. And then KSN picked it up a couple weeks ago, and it hasn't exploded, I would say, but we definitely got a big boost from that, several hundred. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, so it's been relatively steady, but there's definitely been a couple things here and there that kind of catapulted it up a little bit.
So Landon, I mean, you mentioned you hardly ever post on your Instagram. I mean, I would say there's definitely, for business at least, there's definitely a right and wrong way. I use social media a lot for work. I kind of like schedule things out, like I'm going to post this day. So how do you decide what to post, and do you come up with a schedule kind of?
As far as planning ahead of time, we're kind of working on that, working on trying to schedule out a little bit more. A lot of the time I'll have seen a picture a couple days beforehand and just be like, oh, that's cool, let's post that. But I think initially it started out, I would go find the content, whether it be the location, Wichita on Instagram, or the hashtags. But it's kind of built to a point that everything that I post has pretty much just been sent to me, which is really cool, either by tag, DMs, email, whatever. So it's people that want their content to be seen. And so it's kind of cool to share that stuff. And then we're trying to schedule it a little bit more. So like Tuesdays, we'll highlight some kind of a artist or musician in town, and Thursdays highlight a photographer, like specific days for specific things. And then also just local businesses. We want to kind of do like a small business Saturday and kind of highlight a local business every week, at least one, just to share their stories too, because there's so many cool businesses and people in town.
And that's an awesome thing about Instagram, is like it's just a great source to like find what's going on and what's out there and see the cool new places. So it's cool that you guys are doing that. You're kind of just an advertisement for everything happening in Wichita. How do you guys choose what businesses to feature, and like do you guys do sponsored posts?
We're starting to get into that a little bit more. Sometimes it'll just be like a trade for like, for example, we went to the Broadway in Wichita show the other night with Cinderella, and so that was really cool. And so we did a few posts, and they just offered some tickets for that. So we haven't really done a whole lot with that yet, but it is something we're, kind of working to get into more. We have the platform, and we think we can really provide value for other people. So if they see the value in that, we'd be willing to work with them.
Definitely.
After launching Wichita Life, what are like other opportunities that it's presented, or like has it opened any other doors that you might not have experienced otherwise? Yeah,
I think even just this past weekend, we, it was a few weeks ago, a photographer and her husband got in touch with us, and they do just incredible work. And she was just really had this idea to just build up the community, the photographer community in Wichita. And so she created a an Insta meetup, and for some local photographers to get together and just brainstorm and answer questions and, just build each other up. And, there was a photographer that's been doing this for 5 years and a photographer that is just starting out there. And so she had reached out to us and told us about it. And so we were like, we definitely want to go to that and go, even though we're not photographers, didn't know exactly everything they were talking about, but just go and meet them in person and get to be a part of that and just, share who we are with them as well and what we hope our page to be and our platform to be for them, as well as other businesses. So I think that's just one example, recent example of, just the opportunities that we get that I don't think we would have outside of this. And we love that. And, we don't love to be at the forefront and our faces always be on the page, but, there's kind of been a want and a desire for that from our followers to hey, who runs this account? And so it's been kind of fun to throw, our faces in there a little bit and, our names. And so it's been cool.
Yeah. 'Cause up until recently, you guys were just
right.
all kind of an anonymous,
yeah.
If people had listened to the podcast, they would have been able to like look up my name if they really wanted to or something. But yeah, it was, I mean, pretty much anonymous. I'd never posted anything about who we are. So,
which is fun because that, you know, on our video we put out however long ago now. It was great to just see friends and even family that are like, "What? That was you guys?" And they just had no idea, and just fun to kind of surprise them with that.
Yeah, there were several people that had been following the account, and it's funny because I mean, it pops up when somebody likes it. And so I'll look through that occasionally just to see if I recognize anybody. And so I would know a few people. And so once we posted that, it was pretty funny to get some texts and just messages.
Like sitting back like, or like casually bring it up like really subtly. Like.
You heard about this account? That's pretty cool. I bet the guys that run it are really cool.
But they're fun.
So moving forward with Wichita Life, do you guys have like set goals planned out or like where do you want to take it?
I think that's something we're still kind of figuring out. It's kind of a moving target, but starting 2019, a big thing we wanted to do was just to make the account more personable. And we're sharing a lot about other people, and we just wanted to share a little bit about ourselves because people were requesting that. I don't know if people hadn't reached out and asked who we are a few times and kind of responded to different things, wanting to know who we are. I don't think we ever would have done that because it's not about us. It's about the people of Wichita. But definitely just make it more personable and, I mean, continue to grow it. Work with more local businesses and photographers, meet some more people like we did at the Instagram meetup. And then another thing personally that I really want to do continue is just the podcast and meet some more people, hear some more stories. That's been one of my favorite parts too. I haven't done a whole lot of them yet, but just meeting new people and being able to have conversations and even just call some of the people I met friends. These are people that I probably would have never talked. I don't know if we would have ever met had we not kind of connected and been doing this. So I think it's just really cool to meet some new people in town.
Do you guys feel like any kind of pressure now that you've put yourself out there? Because before you're just kind of like sitting back as Wichita Life, but now like do you guys feel pressured to live up to the Wichita Life people? I
think when Landon kind of first came to me about, hey, I really think we should do this. I think we should make a video and kind of say, hey, we're Wichita Life. And my first thought was, whoa. Like, that means we're going to have to, like, post every day about us or, like, I'm going to have to be on the stories or, you know, or something. And kind of made me a little anxious just because it's not, like, my favorite thing to do. But I think just seeing the love and support we got from doing that just made it even more exciting, just made us want to share more about ourselves and why we love Wichita and why we want to share stories and what this account means to us.
Mm-hmm. Do you see it turning into more of your story, or do you just kind of want to stay focused on the Wichita overall? But
I think I had a friend that had, we love getting people's ideas of what they think would be cool for us to do with the account or blog posts or things like that. And so I had a friend that said, hey, it'd be really awesome if you guys like chose to, for your website or whatever, do like a 5 top choices for like Mexican restaurants or different eateries or places like that in town of, hey, this is what it was like. This is what we liked. And kind of making it more personal, but also where people can go to and be like, oh, I haven't tried that place. I'd love to try that. And so, I think maybe going that route, but not so much just like the Candace and Landon show, because that's not really our heart or our intent for the platform. I think, yes, our love for Wichita will show through the account, but I think keeping it definitely more on the creatives.
Yeah, and we'll throw a little bit, a couple pictures of us up every now and then, every couple weeks or so. But yeah, again, it's not about us. It's about Wichita.
Well, and I think too, like putting the pictures up there of us, like we've had like the meetup we went to, it was so sweet. The photographers being like, hey, we would love to photograph y'all. And for us to be like, okay, and just, so I think even that and sharing those is just showcasing their work and making sure that like Wichita knows like, hey, this is what they did and it's amazing. So.
Mm-hmm. And on the website note, I guess that's something that was more of, when I initially started, it was more of just like a hub and kind of a hosting platform for the podcast. And so I think that's something I would like to do is highlight other people's posts, kind of like a guest blog or something like that. I don't really blog. I'm not the best writer in the world. So just anybody that has something that they would want to share, whether it be, again, like a restaurant review or we've done a couple of them, and it's like a poem that somebody's written. And so it's just really cool, just another area they can share outside of just the Instagram.
So with the success of Wichita Life, like, has it encouraged you or given you any ideas to pursue any other opportunities? Specifically, I love dog accounts, and you guys have a dog, right? Like, would you ever we're like, well, I'm pretty good at this Instagram thing. Let's make an Instagram for my dog. Or do you have an Instagram for your dog?
We don't have an Instagram for our dog.
We have joked about that.
We don't have an Instagram for our dog. I think we'll probably keep her off the Instagram.
Yeah, I think just continuing to grow Wichita Life, and whether that be, I mean, again, spreading out to the other social medias, if there's more we could do on those or more on the website. But I think it's pretty much focused to Wichita related stuff for now.
I think it's given even Landon a sense of like a creative outlet and another, a thing to do. Like, he loves his job and he's great at it, but kind of a way to build up this platform. And that's just been fun for me to get to see and have a sideline seat in. And so I think even for myself, just like a boost of confidence of, hey, we get to share these really cool things and kind of share our hearts too, which is really sweet. So,
Yeah. And I've never really, I don't want to say never, but like had a creative outlet like that. So whether that be the podcast and kind of getting into the nitty gritty and editing the audio and that kind of stuff. And again, it's kind of a hobby. I mean, we just enjoy doing it. And so if we didn't enjoy it, we would stop. We're not making hand over fist money or anything like that. So it's definitely just a hobby that we really enjoy. You guys probably answered this like in bits and pieces throughout, but what are your favorite things about Wichita? For me, it's the people, even people we don't know. I just think I love the Wichita pride, but I think personally, I love my people. I love our community, and growing up here, my family's here. Even though both my sisters, one lives in Houston, one lives in Minnesota. My brother's here, and so I think just growing up here and planting our roots here from the beginning, I think has allowed us to build relationships with people that are going to be lifelong. And so, for me, like Landon and I always joke with the podcast, like a lot of people's answer when they explain Wichita in one word, they say home. And I'm like, exactly. Like, that's my one word answer. It's just home. And it's where our people are. And yeah. I'd say the same. Again, the people of Wichita are awesome. Moving away, like Corpus was nice, but I'd say overall, the people in Wichita are just nicer in general. Like you said, just kind of like you walk up to a stranger, I feel like you have a better chance of them being a little more kind in Wichita than somewhere else. And I think that's just kind of the feel of, Wichita isn't a big city, but it can have a big city feel sometimes, but it also has the small town feel. Like you go out to the grocery store, you're going to run into somebody more than likely if you've been around here for a couple of years. So I think that's a big thing is kind of you have the city feel, but it's small enough. There's no traffic. It's just, it's kind of a nice place. We've talked a lot about kind of the changes that have been going on in Wichita. It seems like more is happening. But where do you see Wichita heading in the future, and what do you want to see for the city? Just looking around downtown, if you just drive down Douglas, there's a couple new parks, there's a couple new coffee shops, there's a lot of new lofts and apartments, and I think the direction it's headed and the direction that it's going to be pretty cool is like a lot of people leave Wichita. They could come here for school or they were here for high school and grew up here, but a lot of them leave. I think there was some article that came out relatively recently. More people leave Wichita than come in compared to a lot of other same-sized cities. And I see it in the future, just more people wanting to stay in Wichita. Like it has a cooler vibe. Maybe there's more, technology companies or something, like more stuff to do here, and more people want to stick around here because it is cool and they have fun downtown. And we have the new baseball stadium getting built. It's like $80 million baseball stadium, an affiliate team, Wave, the new venue. There's all kinds of stuff. The Nafsker Park or whatever, right by Interest Bank. Yeah. I don't know what all is going there, but it seems pretty cool. Like there's just a lot of cool stuff that's going on right around downtown. And I think too, like a few years ago, I went and visited Austin with some friends, and just talking to some locals there that are like, yeah, it's just been crazy the last year or two of just like people flooding to Austin, just with the growth and new things and attractions and things like that in Austin. And so I think that's kind of happening in Wichita. People are realizing like, hey, this city is actually pretty cool, and it can be cool. I think we've had friends that aren't from here move here, and after like the first
a few months are like, I don't know about this. And then once they're here like 7-8 months and they start making friends in their community, they're like, yeah, this place is great.
There's definitely been like a revitalization of downtown. And I used to talk about this before. I don't know. I always called it like the donut theory. I don't know if it's a theory or if it's an anomaly or whatever, but it always seemed like Wichita was kind of like a donut. Like everything was growing and expanding outside, but there was this big gaping hole downtown.
Sure.
And that's what it felt like the last
that's a great
10 years.
Yeah.
Like when I started going to college and probably started before that, but they were always expanding out northwest and northeast and all this, and it's like you're not doing anything downtown. But now that it seems like there's so much more happening downtown, and there's just a lot going on, and obviously they're building and constructing a lot. So kind of
I haven't heard that, but yeah, I definitely agree. I've seen the same thing.
The donut theory?
Never heard it described that way, but it's donut.
It was a great way to put it. Yeah, I agree. We'll definitely have to trademark that. Yeah, I think it's, hey, let's put Wichita on the map. We're not a flyover city. I think so many people are like, oh, isn't Wichita just a bunch of fields and corn? We're like, well, no.
Yep.
That's the thing. Like,
hanging out with the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
People just like don't know.
No, and they don't. Yeah. So even cool, like for our platform to be a place if they're like stumbling on, oh, what's Wichita? And they stumble on our page. Kind of cool.
So I do want to ask about music specifically, because that's kind of my thing. But do you enjoy getting out and seeing live music? And what's your favorite music to listen to and go see?
Oh, I guess that just kind of depends on the day. I love country music, just growing up with it and having a farm in our family for a while. And I just love country music. Landon wasn't as much of a country music guy until dating me. And just like worship music, and I love some like alternative music as well. So
I think probably my favorite is rock, alternative rock, and I love going to those shows. Country shows are good too. Hip hop, really anything. Live shows are awesome. I don't go to near as many as I'd like to around here, but I do try to follow some of the local musicians like Kill Vargas and some of those different bands. But yeah, that's definitely something I'd like to start doing more, is going to more shows at the Cotillion or Wave. And
do you feel like Wichita is a place where you can see music, or do you think you feel like you're missing out, or like you have to travel to see who you want?
I think so. I think now with Wave opening up, that will bring more opportunities for more local bands, or just like more variety in who comes to Wichita. I think, I have friends that are like, oh, let's go to Lawrence and see this person, or let's go to Kansas City. And so they kind of, I see it both ways. I see people branching out to go see artists elsewhere, but also, we do get great artists here with Interest Bank in the last few years too.
Yeah, I think people branch out in the past because, like, let's say the Sprint Center, like, you're probably not going to see Drake or somebody like that in Wichita. Just like they're just like too big. Like Interest Bank isn't big enough for that type of act. But we get some of the biggest country people at Interest and so forth. And then some of the other ones, they might just skip over Wichita because, like, say they hit Manhattan or Lawrence, somebody that's maybe at a little bit smaller venue. But again, I think with Wave and like the Cotillion's awesome. So yeah. I think a lot of those type of acts do still go to the Cotillion, but I think that's a big reason people would branch out. But with these new venues popping up and everything, I think Wichita's a place that those acts will start stopping here more often and make a point to come here. And if the show is good, they'll probably continue to come.
Yeah, and that's something I talked about in the first Native Noise podcast with Ryan and Joe from the band After Judo here in Wichita. But those two guys, one's from Minneapolis, one's from Detroit, so it's really cool getting their like outside perspective. But make sure you check that out if you haven't already. Is there anything else you want to add or shout out, or a new dog Instagram you want to plug?
Keep an eye out for
no dog Instagram. She is cute though. I just think if you're not following us already, give us a follow. It's Wichita Life ICT, and we would love to meet you all and get a chance to share your story as well.
Yeah, if you have anything to share, reach out to us. If you'd like to take pictures with your iPhone, send them to us. We'll post them. Or anything else. If you're a musician, we'd love to help you get more exposure. So.
Yeah, and if you're sitting around on your couch and you complaining about nothing to do in Wichita, you probably don't follow Wichita Life ICT.
Exactly.
We'll
go downtown.
Cool. Well, thanks again for stopping by, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And make sure you're following them at Wichita Life ICT on the socials. You can subscribe and follow their podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, or listen at wichitalifeict.com. Find everything below in the show notes. And of course, make sure you subscribe and follow the Native Noise Podcast on our free iHeart Radio app. My name's Tightpants. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. Gonna go get some more coffee and talk with you later.
iHeart Radio.